Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Man injured in $50 dispute in Clarendon. A dispute over $50 by two men in Rock River, Clarendon on Sunday has left one hospitalized and the other being sought by police. Injured is a 49-year-old farmer from the district, while on the run is a man known only as Handful. It was reported that around 9 a.m., the two men had a dispute over $50. During the dispute, the police said a machete was used to chop the farmer in his neck and right middle finger, causing serious wounds. The injured man was transported to the Maple Hospital by a relative and later transferred to another hospital, where he was admitted in serious condition. Police have since launched a manhunt for Handful, who they believe can assist in their investigations. Mobe Chamber calls for vigilance as robbers target businesses. While not seeking to negate the police crime-fighting role, Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry President Oral Heaven is urging the city's business community to be more vigilant in seeking to protect themselves and their operations from armed robbers. Heaven's advice comes in the wake of a failed robbery at a supermarket in downtown Montego Bay on Tuesday night after an armed robber was shot and injured by an off-duty soldier. "I am seeing the police in Montego Bay now. The police are visible, very active," said Heaven. However, as business people, we have to be more vigilant, more careful, and aware of our surroundings. We have to protect ourselves. We cannot sit and depend on the police force to do everything. Having said, members of the business community have to be cognizant of the fact that the police cannot be everywhere at once. Policing is not easy, and having had dialogue with them, I realize that they are doing the best with what they have, especially here in St. James. They are very connected to the community, and they are doing the best they can with the little resources they have. So the reality is we, as business operators, have to realize that everyone is our responsibility. We have to protect you, and you have to protect me, said the Mobe Chamber boss. About 8:40 p.m. on Tuesday, a man who was armed with a handgun walked into the Tiger supermarket around St. James Street in downtown Montego Bay. He held the Chinese operator at gunpoint and demanded money. The soldier, who was in the vicinity of the supermarket, saw what was happening and challenged the gunman, who began firing shots as he tried to make his escape. The gunman was shot and injured. A bystander was struck by a bullet. A police unit which responded to the shooting managed to corner and subdue the injured gunman and seize an illegal firearm from him. Both the injured gunman and the bystander were transported to hospital. The crook was admitted on the police card and the victim treated and released. One of the police officers who responded to the shooting told reporters that there was another robbery in Montego Bay area last week. A homeowner was reportedly trailed from a bank to the Island Revenue Department building in Montego Bay, where thieves robbed him of some $500,000 which he had left in his car. 4 men listed as wanted by St. Andrew North Police. The St. Andrew North Police have listed 4 men as wanted for several crimes committed across the division. They are Jermaine Simit, otherwise called Cartel, or Gaza Man, a landscaper of Lime Edge District and Golden Spring District in St. Andrew. Simit is wanted for murder. Kemar Graham of Autolian Drive, Golden Spring, Bonehall District, St. Andrew. Graham is wanted for murder. Andre Davis, otherwise called Stoney, of Red Hills Road and Cassava Peace in St. Andrew. Davis is wanted for murder. Curtis Cross, otherwise called Leyden, of Windsor Heights in St. Catherine and Walton Park in St. Andrew. Cross is wanted for murder. The men are being asked to turn themselves in, and anyone with information on their whereabouts is being asked to come forward. The police are also reminding that it is a crime to harbor a fugitive. Men caught on camera breaking into Manchester business charged. 6 men were arrested and charged with shop breaking and larceny after they were caught on surveillance camera breaking into a business establishment in Christiana, Manchester on Friday, April 14. Charged are 26-year-old Corey Simpson, otherwise called Tallman, of former New Green District in Manchester. 35-year-old Kewin Foster, otherwise called Sauce, of Corey Avenue, Georges Valley in Manchester. 37-year-old Elvis McIntosh, otherwise called Curtis, a painter of Amberden Land in Trelawney. 32-year-old Odine Forbes, a construction worker of Newtown in Black River, St. Elizabeth. 27-year-old Romain Simit, otherwise called Brown Man, a taxi operator of Scottown District in Manchester, and 50-year-old Hugh Foster of Coleyville in Manchester. Reports from the Christiana police are that the owner of the business establishment secured the lock of their business and left. Later that day, She reviewed the security camera and saw several men breaking into the place. The police were called and the men were seen in a Toyota Succeed motor car fleeing the scene. They were intercepted, taken into custody and subsequently charged. Their court date is being finalized. 90% success rate for RJ cases referred by courts, say Chuck. The government is reporting a 90% success rate for restorative justice cases referred by the courts. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck made the disclosure while speaking at the Regional Security Conference in Trinidad and Tobago. He said of the over 4,000 cases referred during the past 2 years, over 3,000 have been satisfactorily resolved. Chuck said the restorative justice strategy can be replicated in other regional jurisdictions as part of efforts to tackle crime and violence.
Approximately 75% of the cases that are referred to RJ are court referrals, and the success rate in these court referrals is around 90%. To put it into perspective, in 2021 and 2022, 4,460 cases were referred to RJ by the courts. 3,904 cases were satisfactorily resolved, which oftentimes means the charges are withdrawn or the offenders admonished and discharged. Invariably, the parties come to a mutual understanding, and that is why, ladies and gentlemen, we refer to RJ as justice that heals. The success rate emanating from the RJ conferences held averages over 80% annually, from 1,022 RJ circles in 2018 to 3,662 cases in 2022. More than 8 out of every 10 cases have been successfully completed, which means the parties are satisfied with the outcome, and the community or the court sanctions the outcome as acceptable and agreeable.
Dunstan Bryan defends actions by ministry in peak of COVID-19. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dunstan Bryan, has stressed that he will stand by actions taken by the ministry during the peak of COVID-19 pandemic. This following an audit by Auditor General Pamela Monroe-Ellis, which highlighted concerns about how the ministry procured hotels for use as quarantine areas during the COVID pandemic. She noted that there is significant room for improvement in accountability and government processes at the Health Ministry. Speaking at Parliament's Public Accounts Committee meeting on Tuesday on the ministry's COVID-19 expenditure and its general performance, the Auditor General referred to the money spent to procure hotel services during the pandemic. She highlighted that purchase orders were used by the ministry to procure the hotels as opposed to contracts. This, she noted, was not in compliance with the regulations. The Auditor General said there were other abnormalities discovered in how the hotel facilities were procured.
The purchase order, as he says can be used as a contract, but there are certain tenets that must be present. So if it is going to be used as a contract, the terms of agreement must be clearly stipulated to hold the supplier accountable and to protect the government. The purchase orders which I have included for the committee members to see contains absolutely nothing that would amount to a contract. In fact, the ministry used the purchase order as payment vouchers. When you look, that's not how a purchase order is supposed to be utilized. The purchase order is to set out very clearly the specifications of the goods being procured or the terms of agreement of the services being procured. It did not say that, Mr. Chairman. Another thing we noted is that a purchase order really ought to come before the process and signed off on. Oftentimes, the purchase order was actually prepared after the invoice. The purchase order was prepared and used as the payment voucher to execute the payment. So what did we want to know? Having made these payments, because and what we saw as well is that the payment voucher, the invoice is on the same date, and the payment is being made for hotel rooms not yet occupied, but it is stamped that goods delivered in satisfactorily. Those are the issues.
In response, Mr. Burns said he acted in the interest of the country and challenged the Auditor General to outline the laws which were broken by the ministry. According to Mr. Bryan, the AG's report was subpar and offensive.
I stand behind the actions of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. I stand behind the decisions that we made to protect this country. I stand behind my colleagues, all of them, for the work that we have done. And again, I ask, which law? And if it is that Auditor General is citing a law that obviously, as the Deputy Financial Secretary has just pointed out, the purchase order represents a contract, this is not a breach. This is not, there is no way that she can cite me for our finding that is not represented in law. All that this represents, as I said before, is a rumination of the Auditor General.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click